I'm just checking the stream. The problem is the delay, so hopefully it'll do something in a sec. Wow, that's a big delay. So what are we on for time here? Change that. Awesome. So I guess welcome to this, which is the seventh of these workshops that I'm doing. We are going to be working in Mural on commitment in Scrum, and we have a very small group today. So I'm kind of looking forward to having basically it's oh, there's Anna. Hey Anna, how you doing? Second Anna, Anna Mark II. Um, the the fewer the people that are here, the more of your questions you get answered. Right? That's how that works. So what I'm going to do first off is we're going to do a little exercise around connections. So I'm going to create. I'm going to create 3 rooms, but I'm only going to use 2 of them. But it's just in case, because you know what it's like these days. Everybody turns up late to meetings because they've got to finish up whatever else they're doing, and they forget and all of this kind of thing, and then we can figure that out. So let's do room 1, and then room 2, and room 2. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop you into a room just in pairs just now, but if other people arrive, we'll kind of slot them into the right room. And on the mural, let me summon to the mural. I think everybody's around here anyway. There is just some questions to get us started thinking about. I'm going to take off the mark each statement true or false because that's not what we're doing. Not green and red ticks, but just go round the questions and see, have a little conversation around them and introduce yourselves to each other. So I'm going to open the rooms and I'll set a timer for 5 minutes in the mural, and then we'll come back, and that'll give the rest of folks a little bit of time to pop in. Yep, you should have a little. There we go. A couple people leaving. Boom, boom, boom.
It's working.
Yeah. Sometimes it just doesn't. Erica, hi. How you doing?
Hi, fine, thank you. Finally.
Yeah, no, that's okay. We are just doing a little exercise to start making connections with the topic. Is it okay if I move you into a room with some colleagues to have a chat?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Let me find Erica. You can go into room 1. There we go. I just popped you into room 1. So you should get a little pop up or a please wait 10 seconds or something, and then disappear into the room. Rasha, how you doing?
I must say.
Hey. So we're just doing some exercise around creating connections. So would it be okay if I moved you into a breakout room with a couple of other folks? Cool. They can let you know what's going on when you get there. Let me find you in my list. Rasha, I'll be in room 2 with Brandon and Demetrios. I think. And then it would be just us. I think somebody connected and then got disconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, 31. Okay.
Is the other person back, or are they completely gone? Oh, there she is, Carla.
There. Yeah.
Having
I
some.
cannot hear you. You don't hear us?
Andre, you're back.
Yeah, I guess the team is error or something, getting error. So I just immediately leave the team. I don't know what I.
So there should be 3 of you in there. There's Erica, Anna, and you.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, but there was something that in the middle of I'm talking with them, I just said leaving the room, and then the team shut down, something like that. So
Do you have a button at the top of your screen to go to the room? Should be next to the leave button on this room.
no, I don't see it.
Oh. Yes, Carla, it's most likely your settings in Teams. I need a little thing I can pop up on the screen that shows how to configure the settings. That would be a good thing. So let me check, Andre, and see.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
So in the settings for Teams, if you click on the little, can you not hear me? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you can type. I know, but then it's lots of writing. Let me see if I can take a screenshot of the device settings for you.
I will well, if you can hear me, I will explain very quickly. I was in a Zoom meeting and then my audio crashed, and then I had X in the little volume, and I don't know what's wrong with this. Let me detecting problem.
That's why I don't use Zoom. That just solves that problem. Although Anna would say that's why you shouldn't use Teams. Switch to Teams, but that's
Well, I think it was the problem with the computer because he was having the icon is the computer that is more in use, so it looks like he was having some problems with.
that's okay. She'll pop back, and we've get Andre as well. So
You.
sometimes everything works perfectly, and sometimes it just doesn't.
Just like fun.
Yeah, yeah, just like the complex systems that we work with. Yeah. So there's about a minute left on the time box. We'll see. Oh, there we go. On Andre, I should be able to. I can invite you to join that Teams meeting now. It's realized that you're not there. Did that work? Nope, it
Oh,
doesn't work.
shit.
Yep, it's
Oh,
okay. You
yeah.
might be one of the unique, valuable people that I'm not going to ever be able to send out to a breakout room. That might be something that happens. I have had that before. So if that's the case, then I'll have one less breakout room, and we can treat this as a breakout room. Um, I have had to do that before.
More people joining.
Yep. Who's saying it?
Hello.
I'm gonna struggle pronouncing that. Who Hussein? I think it's just Hussein, isn't it?
It's Hassan.
Hisney. Okay.
Yes.
And oh no, another one. Mahin. Awesome! I got that one right.
Yeah.
I am just
I'm
going to. We've Yay! I am just going to close the breakout rooms and bring the rest of the folks back. So let me close them all. Um, we do have other people here that were just off um, talking about. It's okay. It's okay. That's why we have this exercise at the start, because people are late. They struggle with the technology. Their computer doesn't work sometimes. All of those things. Yes, the planets are not aligned in a way that the breakout rooms work, or however that happens. So I am interested in a couple of people that did manage to get into the breakout rooms. Any insights they might have had about this topic, because it maybe be one that you haven't thought about before. Rasha, have you? What did you discuss in your breakout room? What were the important things?
Uh, First, we try to know each other, introduce each other, because both two of us is new, and one kind of expert or have more experience in Scrum, Brinkley, and we kind of try to get into the system moral to apply and find the question, and we discussed just the first one, which is why transparency is important,
Yep.
and as we understand so from the Scrum guide. I'm still, as I said, continue. It's about the transparency in investigation and adapt. So, in terms to get into the loop and have the update and like for the product itself or for the service or thing project that okay. you need to have this kind of transparency in order to investigate um, and adapt with the team. So, and then the time is finished.
No, we definitely made a short amount of time, for sure. Would anybody else like to add their discussion? Maybe Anna, you were in room one.
Yeah, but we did just the same, just introducing each other, and that was it.
That is absolutely okay. When we meet new people, we want to get to know them a little bit, don't we? Right, but
So
it
now we do invitation for next time meeting. Make the first rooming just so people know each other and get into the system.
that is definitely part of the point of that first exercise. There's not meant to be really any learnings that come out of that. It's just to get us going and get us talking about the topic. And I think Raja, you're the first person in one of these free sessions that has held up a Scrum guide for us. It's been a long time since I've seen a printed copy. But yeah, that's
Still,
when your organization's getting started, a good sign is lots of copies of the Scrum Guide printed out for people to read. Yeah, because you get it kind of, if you've not read it, which I find lots of people haven't, right? Even people that are consider themselves maybe veterans of the Scrum world, and they've not read the Scrum Guide, and I'm kind of like, okay, how much of a veteran can you be if you haven't even read the rules, right? The rules of engagement. If you don't know what they are, you're gonna make a mistake. So this topic today was Anna's idea. So are there any introductions you would like to add, Anna?
Well, I propose this topic because I find many times that in organizations and in teams, commitment it's like not really well understood, and it's taken from the idea of the old taylorism thing, and we see our managers asking us for commitment for specific things, and I find this very useful to clear up our ideas, even mine, and to have some takeaways to drop into our organizations to be able to explain to what we really have to commit to instead of committing to things that really don't matter.
Yeah, or maybe have a negative impact. If we commit to
Yeah.
things that can often have a negative impact on the way we deliver on our business. And yeah, those are the common difficulty that people have moving towards commitments in organizations, is that it's very different. It's a very different outlook from the traditional project management practices that we all know, right? And most people in our organization know them. Most people have been exposed to them. And then we start talking about something different, so they try and fit the old way into the new words. And if you try and fit the old way into the new words, you're suddenly still doing the old thing. You're just calling it something new, right? We've missed the value, the change that we're trying to get to. So hopefully, Anna and I spent a bunch of time coming up with this workshop for us, these exercises. So hopefully we'll be able to iron out some of these ideas, but we'll see. Okay, that's going to be interesting. So what we have is we have a couple of exercises to do around getting us a little bit more solid on what the commitments are and where they fit in that story. Okay, well, I use that word quite a lot. I use the word story when sometimes I might mean rule book, right? But all stories are based on rules, right? You any novel, any movie has a formula within which it operates, and the story is the empathy that's built up around it. And I think the same is true in any process within your organization. If you want people to follow it, they need to connect to that story in a way that it matters to them. Otherwise, they'll be like, I don't care about this crap, and figure out a way around it, which is like every security policy in every company I've ever worked with. If somebody tries to figure out a way around it. So in this particular exercise, we're going to do a card sort. Okay. So has everybody managed to get onto the mural? I can see there are 6 people on the mural. So I think there's a couple of people popped in after I added to the mural. So let me just paste the link in.
I was going to ask that.
That is perfect. So I'm just adding it to the chat. If you can't see the chat for some kind of company corporate security reason, then I did add it to the community site. So if you go to community.nkdagility.com or just go to nkdagility.com and then click on communities, you'll get to the free workshop, and in there I've put the mural as well. So if I can't directly message it to you, I've stuck it in there. So hopefully that will bring a couple more people in, because what we are going to do is something called a card sort. So if I zoom into one of these areas, just one of these rooms, we have 3 areas for each of the commitments in Scrum. Okay, so the product goal, the sprint goal, and definition of done are the commitments. But I like you to sort these cards here into which commitment do they belong to. Okay, and this should help us get a handle on how these things are constructed, and maybe a little bit, maybe not necessarily why they matter, but how they matter, right? How do they work? How do they relate to each other? Does anybody not understand the exercise? That's always a good sign. People are...
No, wait. We just need to put the cards in the right place.
Yep, under the right
I
heading.
think it's the right place. Yeah.
Yep, that's perfect. So let me, I want groups of about 3. So let me see if... Oh, so it's okay not to have somebody was saying that their Teams was crashing because of the background effect. I'm not using a background effect either. That is real. Same as Brandon's books and Anna's bookshelf as well. We're using real backgrounds, and that's okay too, right? We're definitely not going to be offended if you have something weird in the background, but you know, within reason. You know, that's how we do that. So I've created 3 rooms. When you go into the room, at the top of your room, the title of the bar, well, at least in Windows, I don't know about Mac. I would be able to let me know if that is true. And talking of Anna, let me fix my breakout room Fandango. So where did Anna end up? There. Let's do that. And then room 1 has an extra person. So move into, there we go. Right. So that'll fix that. So the title bar of the window that pops up will tell you what room you're in. If you're on Windows, if you're on Mac, I don't know where it is, but it'll be around somewhere. Hopefully somebody else in the room can say, we're in this room. And just go to the box that represents that room. They are color coded to help us find it, and sort these cards. I will give you 5 minutes to sort the cards, and Carla, that is not going to be enough time, okay, to sort all the cards. But you're gonna have 5 minutes, and then at the end of the 5 minutes, over on the right, I have the answers, okay, and they're hidden behind this locked panel on the right hand side. So I'll just summon everybody. We get 11 now in the mural. That's pretty good. So there's a locked panel over here, and I'm going to unlock and remove that at the end of the first 5 minutes. But I'm going to give you 3 additional minutes in the room just to relate what's in there with what you put as well, because maybe you picked things and thought that they were in a different place, and the wording will help us get there. Does that make sense? So you'll get the answers after 5 minutes, but you'll get an extra 3 minutes to review. That was maybe a better way to say it. So if nobody has any questions, I have clicked the Open Rooms button. You should have like a 10-second warning pop up. Yeah, just a little thing drops down from the top and says, you're moving to a breakout room in 10 seconds. It would be better if it was instantaneous, but it's kind of nice to have a 10-second where everybody's gone. There we go.
Yeah.
So all the other trainers are complaining about the 10 seconds that it takes to get into the breakout room. But I think if I take it as an opportunity to either repeat the exercise or I don't know.
Hello, Anne.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Anne. How you doing?
I'm good.
Let me just put a timer on for the folks that have just gone into the exercise. You are not the only one here. A whole bunch of people we just started an exercise. Just in case you thought you were a little bit lonely just with us.
No, only 3 people. Oh my god. I'm so honored of you.
So I just put a link in the chat for you to the mural if you're not already on there.
Okay.
So if you click on that link to open the mural, once you've got that open, you can let me know, and I will put you in a breakout room with some friendly folks.
Yes, sure. In fact, I found the links in the chat, not in the chat. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm here right now. Okay.
You're on the mural?
Yep.
Perfect. So I'm going to pop up and ask to be followed for you so you can see where we are. You should get a pop-up on mural that says follow Martin.
Yeah, follow Martin. Yeah,
Yep,
okay.
yep. So now you're looking at the same thing as me. We've got this exercise where we're doing something called a card sort. I want to catch you up before I send you in so you're not distracting everybody. And what we're doing is we have a heading with each of the 3 commitments in Scrum. So the product goal, the sprint goal, and definition of done. And they're sorting the cards under the correct heading.
Okay.
Okay? Does that make sense?
Okay. Yep.
Cool. So I'm going to assign you to a room. Pick a number between 1 and 3.
I'm the third one, so third kid in my family. So number 3.
I put you in room 3, so you should disappear in a few seconds off to room 3. And yeah, so I'll see you back in 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes. 6 more minutes, yeah.
Yep.
There we go. So Teams has no problem with more people arriving. It's when people leave, when you're trying to do breakout room sessions, that's when it struggles. Because I think we lost... Did we lose the girl that was here at the start? I don't remember her name. She was here for the first exercise, and then I think she either disappeared or turned her camera off, and we haven't seen her again. But it could be either.
Mhm.
Could be a connection thing. That's okay too. Room 3 needs some help.
See what they are. I'm going to check what they are doing.
So rooms 1 and 2 are doing okay. Room 1's doing pretty awesome. Oh, now they're starting to move them. Yeah. Because the girl, I can't remember her name. Girl with the Scrum guide.
Yes.
Right, yeah, because I don't see her now in the list. But all of these cards are actually just straight out of the Scrum guide. I did have to tweak the wording a little bit on occasion just to remove the answer, because sometimes the answer's in the words, and shorten it a little bit. But I guess the purpose. So also for the folks watching who are bored, who are stuck with us, right? Because they don't get to go to the breakout rooms. Yeah. Hey everybody. The purpose of this exercise is to start getting people to understand the difference between the different commitments, what they are, and what it says in the Scrum guide. So all I did was I created 16 boxes, and then I went through the text for each of the commitments in the Scrum guide, and every time I came to something that I could copy out and paste in here, I did that. So really this is them reading the Scrum guide in regards to the commitments, but in a card sort kind of way, so it feels a little bit more like a game. It feels less about the reading, but because you've got to make a decision about which column they go under, and then you have to have a conversation because there's more than 2 people in the room, then hopefully they learn and figure out stuff, and then we can have, when they come back, or we'll do the self-correcting thing. Oh yeah, I guess the self-correcting part just means that there's an answer sheet, which I am going to uncover. That's all self-correcting means.
In 20 seconds.
Yeah. Visiting pandas following me, that's probably not the best idea. Following Martin's not the best idea. Oh, I think it might be getting harder as we get further down the list. They're actually just random, so... Oh, there we go. Let me open up the answers.
We need to ask, well, Russia had the Scrum guide open, and I'm pretty sure she's going to check it. But if all the rest have the Scrum guide open, they would be able to answer like straight.
Yeah, all of these, if you open up the Scrum guide or you've got it on another screen, all of these are super easy. You would just have to find the text. And in fact, I think the way I did it was I created the grid of 16 boxes and then I just added them in stripes, so they were kind of randomized. But not really random. There is a pattern, so you can, and then I numbered them, right? So you can probably figure them out if you know the pattern. Right, let's check on room 3. What have they got in? Oh, are they struggling with things going behind? No, they're not. They're not.
No. So I believe room 1 is doing pretty good.
I wonder if they remembered that the answers have been uncovered. Probably not. I don't see anybody's cursor heading over to the answers.
Can we broadcast something in Mira? You did it right in the chapter.
I did a Teams broadcast, so Teams has a little megaphone button that just sends a message to all the rooms.
Well, room 3 is done.
Did they get it right?
See?
We'll need to tell them about the bug in Mural when they come back, because I think a couple of things have suffered from that they've kind of dropped. Because they're all in front for us. Oh, no, I've got one that's behind, but it's because I moved it a little bit.
I think room 1 got stuck somewhere. They are arguing about something. For sure.
Do you want to pop in and... Well, there's only like 15 seconds left. Yeah. Sometimes these exercises are a little bit easier in real rooms, like physical rooms, because you can hear everybody, and when they get stuck, you can just go over and help them.
Yeah.
But in the...
I jump into the room, like, is everything okay?
There is a tool we can experiment with one time, Anna, that has... we have little circles on a map, and you move them closer to different groups of people, and it gets louder.
Okay.
That would be pretty cool to try. But I've clicked to bring everybody back, so they'll be on their way.
Hello.
Hello.
I think, Carla, your group got stuck. Were you arguing about something? No. Okay, that we were just observing, and we felt like got a little bit bogged down. Just in moving the cards. Maybe something was too contentious.
So, Tabo, or what's I don't remember. Yeah, he was looking at what we have written, and I was looking at the answers because the screen moving back and forth it was too time consuming. So he was saying what we put. I was reviewing. Yes, we got it right, and we got everything right. What we put in, and we even had like 50 seconds left from the sprint to spare.
Awesome.
But I don't know if we will have questions about this because we did have a one question.
And that I just let me hear from the other rooms first, and then we'll do that. So room 2 was Brandon, Erica, and Anna. How did you get on?
Yes, we actually got through pretty much all the cards, and with mostly agreement.
Awesome. Well, that's good. Any contentious items?
No. We just have
Things are contentious.
we had two in two groups. We are not sure. I think we had a very short discussion because we did not have the time to talk about that properly about the number 4 multiple field or abandoned before a new one is created. And I was thinking about the product goal, and Damian was thinking more about the spring goal. So we talked about that because it wasn't very. I think it was the only not disagreement, but the only point we had a discussion, and we were not completely sure about the 12 also. So you can see in these two sentences in the middle of between two commitments because we're not sure.
Yep, and I understand. I can definitely understand why 12 sits between those two things. So we can definitely come back to that. And then in room 3, it was Anne, Mahin, Dimitrios, and Andre. How did you get on?
Just noticed that once you move, you got stuck.
So, yeah, Anna and I discussed that before you got back. Their mural is having a problem right now. And that's sometimes when you drag something, so this is just for you, and drop it, it goes behind the thing you dropped it on. It's not actually behind it, it's just in your render of it. So if you refresh the browser, it's back on top again. Or one of your colleagues can move it, but then for them it will be behind and for you it will be in front. It's very annoying. I've raised it with mural support, but they're not replying to anything just now. So I assume, because they're usually pretty good at replying, that means there's lots of people at the mural office running about with their hair on fire trying to fix it. That's my assumption based on that. Either that or they're not out of bed yet because they're in PST time zone and they're just getting up to that. But for me, it's been like that since Monday. I had that problem on Monday in a class, so we'll see, because I've got a class on next Monday, so hopefully they'll fix it.
Yeah.
But
So, because of the sticky situation there, I forget about what should I ask. My question just.
Sorry about that. Yes, Demetrius.
Discussion on what is number 4. So, my opinion is number 4 should be a sprint goal because must be fulfilled or abandoned before a new one is created. Yeah. So that only also mention like only under the certain extreme situation the sprint goal could be abandoned. That brings my feeling that this one should fit under the sprint goal.
So I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Every single one of these post-its is copied verbatim out of the Scrum Guide. Okay?
One question. Which Scrum Guide? The update from 2020?
The 2020 Scrum Guide. I did it this morning.
Yeah. Because you know what, the one question, so I agree that it's like really copied, but there was this one created during the sprint planning event.
Yep.
And this is what I mentioned in the before the update. It did say the Scrum Guide, if I remember correctly, that in the part 1 meeting, the product owner informs about the sprint goal. So meaning that it's already
So
existing.
it's actually been 3 versions of the Scrum Guide since it had the part 1, part 2
You see, since
thing.
when
Yeah, 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 yeah.
okay.
So, but that's okay, right? So yeah, and there's a lot of things that. So although the words in the Scrum Guide has changed, the intent that the authors had has not necessarily changed, right? But people's interpretation of the words means that they then go back and change the words to try and not have incorrect interpretations. So sometimes we read it and we like the way it was worded. Like there's a few things from the previous versions of Scrum Guide that I feel loss, that it's no longer in the Scrum Guide and no longer says that. But it doesn't mean it's not true. Right? You should be able to take the intent from any of the versions of the Scrum Guide, and it's the same thing. We're just adding more value, adding more conciseness. Because the difficulty with the Scrum Guide is it uses 1 word when it would be better to use 100 words. Right? It's very compacted to keep it small, and try and be a little bit nimble, but it means that there's a lot of interpretation. A lot of interpretation.
Yeah.
In that case, I changed my mind to the product.
What was that, Anne? I didn't quite hear.
Number 4, before we choose I insisted to put it under the sprint goal, but after your explanation, I changed my mind to move that number 4 under the product goal.
Yeah, must be fulfilled or abandoned before the new one is created. It's, before a new one is created is a characteristic of the product goal. You wouldn't normally abandon a sprint goal for sure, right? You might cancel a sprint, but that's a lot bigger. Canceling a sprint is a lot bigger, more expensive thing than just getting to the sprint review, looking at the product goal and saying, we need a new one of those, right? Because we're either already there or the world has changed and it's no longer relevant, right? Because we're not actually doing work inside of the product goal, but we are doing work inside of the sprint goal. So we might be mid-sprint when something nasty happens. What was the other contentious ones? Carla, you said that there was something.
I still have that one, the one about created during the sprint planning event, the sprint goal, because it's how I see it, and of course I can be mistaken, is that it's a kind of a vision. Where are we looking as a team? Where do we want to go? And that will support us really to make decisions, right?
Yep.
But kind of created during the sprint planning event, to me is like, okay, we have already done the planning, so how does this look like? Let's make a summary out of it. I'm not sure if I'm really convinced that the goal would be as part of the sprint planning rather than, product owner communicating what is the kind of vision for this, how the increment will look like, for example. And now, because obviously I haven't read the 2020 guide,
That's okay.
any other, I'm even confused then who's creating, because since the sprint planning is everyone there,
Yep.
so it's not really only the product owner saying this is my vision, but it's everyone, which makes sense, of course.
Correct.
But I don't know. I'm more like product owner. What is your wishes are my command?
You're in the benevolent dictator for the product owner. That's okay. I think.
No.
I think that conversation between the product owner and the team to come to an agreement on what the goal is part of it is because who owns the sprint goal, who commits to the sprint goal, during the sprint? The developers, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody else makes a commitment on your behalf, like the product owner comes and said, Carla, you have to do this, and it's an impossible task, and that person doesn't believe it's an impossible task, but you know it to be because you're the technical expert, then you're in a bit of a position, aren't you? That's not going to make you unhappy. It's going to make your life difficult. So the agreement is to reflect the realities of doing the work, so that the developers can say to the product owner, we cannot do that just now. We need to do a bunch of other stuff first before we can get to that, or we don't have the information or understanding we need yet, right? Maybe we need to do more research, maybe we need some training, maybe we need to speak to a bunch of customers in order to get that. So that's something that might not be able to be done this sprint.
To what you just said about there is a one word when they could use much more. For
Yeah,
instance,
yeah.
I'm referring here to goal as a vision, and the vision of course, the product comes from the product owner, and therefore the vision of how I would like this increment to look like. And this is the reason why I have prioritized the backlog in this way, is because this is how I want this increment to look like.
Yep.
But I'm not saying it as an actual commitment that yes, what this is what we're committing to do. Then it's negotiable. So yeah, probably.
I'm going to bring in a diagram to help you, because I was just teaching a product owner class this week. And one of the diagrams is, I think they call it the planning onion, or the organizational onion. I'm being a little bit choppy here because I'm opening on a second mural and my machine's been difficult today. So if I just go in and grab this, I'm waiting for it to load so then I can zoom into the right place. There we go. I've found it, and I need to, oh no, I can just copy it. And then I'm going to paste it in. Where am I going to stick it? Let's paste it in here. There we go. There we go. So I just stuck it over the top of some of this other stuff here. So let me summon. So this is I guess my interpretation of that planning onion, where you've got the different levels of the organization on the left. So delivery and validation, value and solution discovery, up to product strategy, and then product vision, then business strategy, and then company vision, right? So there might be a lot of different products that roll up to that company vision. And then the different levels of goals. You've got tactical goals for things we're doing now, and then strategic goals for that thing you're talking about, Carla. That vision is a strategic goal, right? What are we strategically trying to achieve? But sometimes that strategic goal is too far away from the work we're doing. So we, as potentially people doing the work, are like, I've got no idea how what I'm doing today relates to our strategy, so I don't feel connected empathetically to the product and to the vision and what it is we're trying to achieve. So the product goal is meant to be an intermediate strategic goal that helps the people doing the work and the stakeholders, right, connect to where are we going just now. Not where are we going, where our end trip is, but what's our next leg of our trip, the next segment of our trip. And we might have a number of sprint goals, which are our tactical goals. And I like the tactical strategic wording, and maybe I'm a bit weird and played too much Call of Duty, right? But I like to think of it like a battlefield, right? You're trying to win the war, right? Is your end goal, but win the war doesn't help us understand what we need to do just now. So maybe we need to destroy this castle, right? That's the next thing we have to do. But in order to destroy the castle, there's 20 tactical things that have to happen in order to get to the point where that happens. And the sprint goal are those tactical moves towards our product goal, and we might get so far down that tactical goals, we might do 3 or 4 tactical goals, sprint goals, and then we realize, oh, we can't get there, or there's no longer relevant, or there's some blocker, which means it doesn't make sense anymore, or the business has changed, and we need to figure out what's next. So that's where the product goal, we have one, and then if it then becomes no longer relevant, we pick another one, but we only ever have one. That's the idea. So I think you're thinking at a higher level than Scrum is.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, words, right? Vision. Like I have a vision for the day alone. Like I wake up and how do I want the day to look like?
Yes.
And it's not my vision for life. So it's but then again, then coming regardless of the word, like who, like I understand the commitment, of course, is by the team. Absolutely, no question about that. But then, at what point, or basically, what this is teaching me in a way is that it is actually the team, so the developers, who are deciding the goal of the sprint.
The developers have to commit to it, but they agree to it in combination with the product owner. And the reason there's that combination, right, is not... So we talked about one side of the combination, which is why it's on the developers list of things that they need to connect to. But also, if we don't build the stuff, the product owner needs to keep their stakeholders happy, to keep the business happy, then maybe we're all out of a job, because the business will just go, or the venture funding will just disappear, gone, right? We're done. So there's a vested interest in the developers in helping the product owner achieve what they want to achieve, but then there's also the realities of the tactical situation of what we need to do to get there. And that's that balance.
So creating this context could mean it has been proposed by product owner, but it has been discussed during the planning, and it has been agreed, and that's part of it. Okay.
Yes,
and that it may also change. I mean, during the negotiation and agreement, because what Martin said, maybe technology doesn't support you or anything. But they created in sprint planning, it means the combination of these 3 actions. The first owner can come with an idea, but during that negotiation, they agree to something else, because what you commit to is something that you need to have at least some control of. And if the developers don't have that kind of ownership of what they are doing, they cannot commit to it. So this is why it needs to be a negotiation.
Yeah, exactly.
I can sleep now.
Why don't we use CBM? Case closed.
What was that, Dimitri? I didn't catch that.
Why don't we use CBM? So case closed.
CBM?
EBM.
Oh, evidence-based management.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, having evidence to make the decisions is always a good idea. But evidence can only inform your decision. It doesn't control it, because sometimes we need to do things that's different from the evidence, right? And that could be just to keep people happy, right? And they don't care about the evidence, but we still need to keep them happy.
And also there are some things that cannot be measured, and you can feel them. So also those decisions, of course, based on data, but there is a lot more than that time.
There's a good reason that Anna works for a company called Empathy. Yeah. Was there any other things that anybody wanted to bring up? No, that's cool. So I see that somebody just posted the Scrum.org's EBM guide in the chat. I definitely recommend reading that as well. But Carla, the first thing on your list is the 2020 version of the Scrum Guide. Okay, and then read
resistance for some reason.
Yeah, and then go read the EBM guide. I think there's a lot of value in it. And then come to my workshop in next month for the professional agile leadership with evidence-based management. Yeah, that too.
But where are you, in UK or?
I'm in the UK, but it's a virtual workshop. I don't
Okay.
I don't run any in-person. I run all my classes like this because then I don't have. Actually, it's not right, and I'll tell you why. It's a different kind of fun, yes. But prior to lockdown, I was traveling 300 days a year with 140 flights a year. And in the last 10 years, I've been in 32 different countries, averaging about 16 countries a year. So I prefer this because it's less travel.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I
I like travel for fun, Carla, but we have to be in 5 cities in one day. Then it's not so fun. Not so fun.
Yeah.
It's also an opportunity, no? Because I'm in Argentina now, for example. It wouldn't be impossible. It would be impossible for me to take part to any.
Absolutely, and when I run it, these even. I mean, these are these free workshops aside. When I run classes, there's people come in from I call it US time zones, right? But it's Eastern time. I get people from UK, from Europe, from Singapore, all the way through to Singapore, and everybody's in the same class, right? So we can learn from each other as well, and our different cultural backgrounds inform some of the discussions that we have around how things are done, and I think that helps too, spreading the knowledge and good things and how we approach things differently. So, Anna, would you like to? You knew I would explain the crazy circles.
If I'm able to. Okay, so we're looking here. Commitment is one of the values of a Scrum. Okay, and basically, we tend to use values a lot, and we really don't know what it means. That's basically what values do is they drive behavior. They drive how we behave, how we work with people, and one of them is commitment, and we commit to a specific things. That can be good or bad. Okay, but we commit to specific things. In the Scrum Guide 2020, Carla, we are committing to a specific thing. So here, what we want you to do, it's you have some circles, and you have to put the circles into the right way, into the right place. You have the commitment value, and you have to say what you commit to, where it's embodied, and the rest of the circles. I don't know if I explained myself, Martin. Please.
So there are a bunch of circles with question marks on them. Okay, that are connected into this story with commitment in the middle. So the first circle out is the largest. So there are 3 big circles that will obviously be. It's obvious what they will be, right? There's the 3 commitments. But then the next circle out is how are those things embodied, right? What are they embodied in? And then the next circles, which there might be 2 or 3, are how do we realize that? What is that thing? What's the physical elements of it? Does that make sense? Like how you would break down that thing.
Much better.
Was that a better explanation? I think we needed both in order to figure it out, but Carla's still confused.
Yeah. What is embodied?
I don't know. Anna picked that word. What's it in Spanish?
I speak Spanish. Que lo representa, que lo abraza, que lo tiene. O sea, que it is represented by, like, okay, like.
Represented by. That's a good one. For the rest of us who don't speak Spanish, even though I should because my wife's Mexican, but yeah.
I'm from Mexico. I live in Finland, though.
Oh, well.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Well, Finland's nice. My wife's Mexican and she lives in Glasgow, so, that makes less sense. So, because it's in, Brexit land, let's not go there. So I have three breakout rooms. I've randomized them again, so we won't be with the same people. In case you met somebody that you really liked and you wanted to stay with them, you will be with a different group of people. And the idea is just to drag these circles onto the ones that it represents. Now you'll see that two of the lines have the same words on them, but one of them is a little bit different. It says quality measurements to protect. Okay, so that's the one that's a little bit different. So there's only a specific thing that goes in that line. We totally on board? Anybody confused? I'll ask that while Demetrius is drinking, so he can't say yes, and then I'll click open rooms, and there we go.
Cheers.
No problem. So I'm going to. In fact, we don't know how long this is going to take, so I'll probably put 8 minutes on the timer, and then we'll see how you get on. Oh, I think I added you to a room, Anna. Yes, I did add you to a room. So this is a brand new exercise. If you're watching, I think I fixed the echo if you had an echo, right? If you didn't, that's okay. Hopefully you could still hear me and still hear Anna, but you could hear desktop as well, and I think that was confusing. So Anna came up with this. I think it looks like it's interesting. It probably needs some iterations to get it so we can explain it well. But effectively, you're just moving those individual circles on top of the dotted circles with the question marks. I mean, that's pretty much it. So it's fill in the blanks exercise. Anna,
Hi.
you back?
Yeah. You put me in a breakout room.
I did.
Yeah, but that gave me the time to ask them if they understood it and we explained it correctly, and they said yes, completely. So perfect.
I actually figured out when I was trying to explain it again to everybody else. I fill in the blanks is probably the easiest, shortest way to say it. Oh, so we got. I think we got two people drop out. Abidi, I think Hussein has dropped out, or I think I'm saying that wrong again. Alex looks like he's dropped. Oh, Alex is a PST. Oh.
Yeah, well, he joined like 5 minutes and left or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. So there's only two people in room one and three people in room two, but that's okay. That's still a good number. Probably makes it easier.
Well, what I like from this is that you need to kind of build the whole, as you say, a story. Like, okay, I commit to the definition of done, that it's represented by, and so you have to do the full thinking process, and it only goes one way.
Yeah, and the thing I liked was in the definition of done one, you get to the end and you're like, oh, right, so these have got to go somewhere else, and I have to bring these other ones over. Yeah, I do like that. I do like that. But yeah.
For the screen goal, I think it's the easiest one. It's the one that it's
was the sprint goal the 2? I can't remember now. Oh,
no, the sprint goal was
the 3.
Yeah,
the top one, vertical. Left.
It was like room 1. Like,
oh yes. Oh,
yeah,
well.
Screen goal, screen backlog.
I'll send them a message to.
It can be understood in very different ways. Now that I'm seeing the art.
I just sent everybody a message to say if things are falling behind other things, you might need to refresh the browser. Because there was a couple of weird things happened there, but that's okay. The technology is never going to be perfect every time. So having a little bit of best effort's okay.
I like what they are. I like what they are. How they are ordering it, because it's the common way people think about this. For example, product goal embodied in product backlog, quality measures to protect product backlog items, order, and detail.
Yeah.
So,
I like it too. We just need to be able to explain it much more easily. Yeah. But that's okay. They got it, so they're doing it. It works. We got it explained enough. So we're about 15 minutes behind right now, but that's okay. That's much better than I usually am.
well, last time it was on time, right?
The definition of done one. Yeah, we got that time box pretty right. It was the coin game one that was just a complete disaster. That took ages. It took so long to explain it, and then re-explain it, and then re-explain it, and then go help teams that were struggling.
You were playing you mean in the Kanban one, in the penny game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was it must have taken us 60 minutes to do the 30-minute exercise. Right, but that's the trouble with a 30-minute exercise, right? If things go a little bit wrong, then it becomes massive. Whereas if you get lots of smaller ones, maybe you just skip something that's struggly.
Mm-hmm.
Batch size. We're doing an exercise on batch size, and the batch size was too big.
I did that when I took the training for Kanban about Kanban. I also grabbed some ideas and did a training at Empathy, and they really liked it. That it was.
Yeah. But you've done the pro Kanban applying professional Kanban.
No, yeah.
I can teach that, but I haven't taught one yet. I haven't done one yet, because I also teach the PSK, the professional Scrum with Kanban, which is, I mean, literally the PK is 2 whole days just on Kanban, whereas the professional Scrum with Kanban is like one day on Kanban and 1 day on Scrum with Kanban, right? So it's
I did the full Kanban one.
Yeah. I just haven't taught it yet. It looks like everybody's finished.
It looks like
almost.
We have somewhere the original diagram, right? Because maybe we can put it there. Or
no, no, I don't.
Well, we have it in my account. Yeah, we have.
Yeah. Okay. I went to look down the bottom, and all the ones that we've got down there are blank. All of the copies we've got at the bottom are blank.
Yeah, but I have it here.
Oh, cool.
Yes. I'm copying it. And should I add it somewhere? Or once they come back?
Oh, hold on. I think Blue Team definitely have stuff dropping behind. Luckily, I made everything see-through, so you can at least still see it. Yeah, the Blue Team stuff. Yeah. They're writing a little message in there.
I don't have to move the things anymore. Ooh. Something.
I fixed it for them.
Okay. And the time is over?
It is. The 8 minutes is over. I think 2 groups are done, so I think we should bring them back, and we will suffer the wrath of Team 2, who had an impediment.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, but
Hello.
embedded in.
That was a perfect way for you guys to communicate with us, room 2. Thank you for that. Because I fixed it as soon as I saw the. Because I was like, I can't drag those. I was actually looking to see if I could move one of them into place, and yeah, things were. Yeah. So at least, do you know what's worse? I made all of the backgrounds semi-transparent, so sometimes they drop behind and they just disappear, and you don't know what's going on. But at least if they're semi-transparent, you can still see them. I know it's there, but I can't grab it. Well, so that was a bit better. So sorry about that.
Yeah. Six in the, I guess, like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
In
as soon as I saw the text, I fixed it as soon as you sent me a message to fix it. So, but yeah, it was a bit late. Yeah, sorry about that. Anna, would you like to debrief?
Yeah. Well, how did in room 1 from the exercise, and what did you see? Did you find it difficult or?
Erica, do you want to go?
Okay. No, not difficult at all. We hope because we finished it in like 20 minutes and then we had time to chat a little. We found it quite easy to um, to the puzzle. We started putting the commitments and then we filled one commitment at a time and it was very easy, so we didn't have any doubt, I think.
Okay. So for every room, it was clear where to put everything, and so even for room 2, that we're not able to move things.
Yeah. And the part that is going on in our team is we have conversation about which one is which. So I hold on into my argument, and Carla and sorry,
Dimitri, we were against.
yeah, have that.
Because I was taking literally the represented by. And for instance, definition of done is not necessarily represented by increment. So, like that didn't really work. That's what I was stuck. What is it that lost in translation?
Yes, could be.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see the represented by, but yeah, maybe it's a little bit tenuous.
But it's well described in the new Scrum guide, so definition of done is with the increment.
Yeah, so the way it's described in the Scrum guide, and I actually think the wording in the Scrum guide is a little bit weird for this, right? But it says the increment is born when the product meets the definition of done, which is a little bit weird because then you get weird pictures in your head. But I think it does kind of work. That's the thing that lets us know whether if we didn't meet the definition of done, we don't have an increment, right?
Yeah.
If we meet the definition of done 20 times during the sprint, we have 20 things that we could ship during the sprint if that's what we wanted to do. That's the essence of continuous delivery, is that you're meeting your definition of done constantly, because hopefully it's automated. Yeah. I see. Anna brought in the answers grid.
The solution. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here is the solution. So yeah, the definition of done is embodied in the increment, and it's quality measures to protect customers, organizations, and teams. Okay, so that was the place to put the definition of done. I've seen in some teams that the product backlog is the quality measure to protect the product backlog items, orders, and customers. and I don't know how to um, interpret that or how you got to that idea. Um, and well, product goals, it's embodied in the product backlog by the product backlog items, the order and the detail, and the sprint goal is for the sprint backlog and tangible by the product backlog items in the plan. That's the solution, basically. Anything that you don't see clear here?
Yes. So we
Yes.
had a discussion about the product backlog and the details. But most of the product backlog items are not details, only the most prioritized on the top. That's why we put the details in the sprint backlog, because there you must have the details.
Yeah, well, the idea of putting is there. I think it's the same that you're saying. The product goal is embodied in the product backlog, and that detail on top of the backlog, it's guiding us to the product goal. So it's the more you're on top, the nearer you have how you're committing to the product goal. That's how I understand it.
Yeah.
I think my team is doing the best, so all answers are correct. You checked it.
I do kind of like the details piece as part of product backlog, because one of the things that is I think much more clear in the new version of the Scrum Guide is that refinement is the activity that adds details. So details about the what, not necessarily the how, but maybe a little bit of the how, right? Because there's a lot of crossover between what you want and how you want it done. And I have a lot of discussions with product owners about how much detail should you go into on your product backlog. And for things that we need to build, i.e. the stuff that's at the top of our product backlog that are candidates for bringing into the sprint, we need as much detail as the team, the developers need to feel comfortable that they can take it on and build it. Right? So what does that mean within your context? If you're building something that is less complex, maybe you don't need a lot of details, right? But for example, I worked with a company in Norway who build maritime simulation software. So it's used with full rigs, with rooms that pivot around to simulate the sea, to train people to handle massive ships at sea, right? And do all sorts of crazy things, like maybe you've got a storm and you need to offload cargo from one ship to another in the middle of the sea. It's not a good idea, right? It's not a good idea to do that, but there are circumstances where you might have to. But the complexity of that software and the complexity of the task at hand, because it has to work, it's effectively a simulation of the real world. It's the simulation of real world physics. And one of the things they have to have, and this is just one piece, right, is there's 3 months work goes into the spreadsheet that you need to understand how the hull of the ship interfaces with the water, right? And every single ship is unique. So you need that up front, because you can't build that feature, you can't add that ship to your product unless you have that information. So that's a whole 3 months worth of detail that you need somebody with a physics background in hydrodynamics, a PhD in hydrodynamics, to be able to build for you. So that's quite a lot of detail, right? But one of the things that we talk about a lot in Agile that is misinterpreted is that, oh, we don't need to do lots of stuff up front, right? Or we shouldn't be doing lots of stuff up front. And that's kind of a fallacy, right? What we are saying is you shouldn't do more than you have to. How much do you need to do up front? Just enough so that when your team walks into sprint planning, they have everything they need, the knowledge they need, the understanding they need, and the data they need to build the thing that you want them to build. Right? So that might be a lot in your circumstances. I'm hoping the team that builds planes at Boeing has lots of information at their disposal at that point. But if we're building a marketing website for a small company, maybe we don't need so much information. I don't know if that helped or it was just a rant. Could have been either.
That helped.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think we needed to change the details from sprint backlog to the product backlog. If I understand what you explained is correct, so yeah, also based on the Scrum guide, so it's ongoing activity to add details.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay.
And the Scrum guide is a good reference to go back to for that. I mean, it's not the be all and end all. You've got to be pragmatic as well, but sometimes you need to be a little bit dogmatic to try and understand what people are getting at. We want to all be playing the same game, and if everybody understands something in the same way, like having that conversation, like we're talking about when Carla was confused with that particular terminology, but we can have a conversation about it. We can agree as a group, well, this is what we mean by that. Okay, now I understand that this word in this case means this. Now we're all on the same understanding. But we need to come to those agreements, because how many different cultures are represented here in this meeting? Different people with different language backgrounds, people with different upbringings. I find even if you took somebody from the West End who went to school in the West End of Glasgow and somebody who went to school in the East End of Glasgow, they will have a different outlook on language, a different outlook on how to say things, how to phrase things, and what they mean, right? And that's within 10 miles of each other, let alone the thousands of miles that are between all of us, right? And what about your team members? Where are they from? What are their backgrounds? Did they all go to the same school and sit in the same classes with the same teacher? No, they didn't. Right? And every teacher brings their own story to the puzzle as well. So I think it's just definitely these common understandings, and workshops like this can help bring out some of those things, those nuggets that people are confused about or have different stories for, so that you can come to an agreement about what you mean and what it says. Yeah, working agreements are really important.
Ask you something a little bit related to that. We have a similar discussion to this in my team, and half of them are coming from Belarus, and the other half it's chile mole pozole, right? So like very mixed. And there was a conversation about one of the, actually from the jargon from Scrum. Now I can't remember what was. Yeah, because they're using Jira, right?
Oh.
And they call it PBIs. They call, yeah.
Become tasks.
And they called, yeah, and they call them tickets, and it drives me crazy. And then at the end, I was like, no, they were like challenging me. Yeah, but it doesn't matter what you call them. In the end, you are going to work on them.
Yeah, and I, while I agree in principle with what they're saying, that it doesn't matter what you call them,
Yeah.
right? One of the reasons that Scrum uses different terminology from the stuff that came before is to avoid the baggage of the thing that came before. So it does matter what you call them. And
yeah,
I mean, so many people call what you work on in Scrum a user story, but the word user story is never mentioned in the Scrum guide.
In the Scrum,
yeah. So it's a choice. It might be a good choice for your team, right? But it also might be the wrong choice. I work with teams who build APIs and data frameworks, and they're trying to fit everything into a user story, and it makes no sense whatsoever. They've all these ridiculously contrived ways of writing these stories in order to fit it into that format, and it doesn't work because it's designed for users interacting with systems. If a user doesn't interact with your system A user story doesn't make sense.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, but ticket drives me crazy because I have this IT service management strong background, so it just drives me crazy to hear that in any context.
Yeah, because ticket has a lot of connotations. Requirement has a lot of task has a lot of connotations for anybody who's ever worked with a project manager in MS Project. Everything's a task, right?
Yeah. So, but coming to your point about that to agree, what if you're agreeing on this kind of terminology that has not really Scrum?
I don't mind, as long as the agreement is this is what it means. Right? We're looking at the Scrum Guide, and although the Scrum Guide says sprint, right? We're a automotive company, and we're going to call it a race, right? Because that's what we want to call it in our company. That's cool. It's a Scrum team, or it's a tribe, right? I don't care. It doesn't actually matter, as long as we're in agreement what the accountabilities are, what the commitments are, right? What the artifacts are to provide transparency. Those are the things that we want to agree on, and I don't think it really matters what they're called. But if we're here in this context, right, in our context here, where we're trying to have a conversation about what does that mean, you've kind of got to go back to the original terminology in the Scrum Guide and what is it trying to say and why is it trying to say it that way. But when we go back to the office, we can be pragmatic and say, you want to call it everybody's not a team member, they're a technical fellow. Okay, I don't mind what you call people, right? But if you're a Scrum Master and your job is updating the Gantt chart, you're not a Scrum Master.
Yeah.
Right? You're not fulfilling the accountabilities of a Scrum Master. If your job is making sure the developers complete all their tasks in a sprint, right? You're not a Scrum Master. So I think terminology is great to have a conversation about out with the general public. If that kind of makes sense, like when we're all practitioners having a conversation about the mechanics of what it is we're trying to do, be explicit, right? And pick on those things. But when I've got a team, I'm going to try and guide them towards the way I want them to be, or way I would like them to be, regardless of what they call it.
What you just say, so if you're doing this, you're not a Scrum Master, and wasn't so Scrum Master, well, you kind of coach and keep reminding the team and so on in a Scrum as per the Scrum Guide. So that makes me trouble. Is like how much would you or not?
But then organizations get away with it by calling them an agile project manager, right? So you're not actually a Scrum Master, you're an agile project manager. Exactly. Well, I got to do the profit and loss reporting and do the invoicing to the customer, and I've got to do the productivity report with everybody's timekeeping, and the KPIs. Yeah. So I think I don't mind what people call it. Just be careful of baggage getting in the way of the new way of doing things. So I think we only have like 5 minutes left, because we had some good conversations out of that one, and I think it's pretty late for Anne. Is it pretty late for you?
No.
No.
It's pretty early for me. I'm in Canada.
Oh, you're in Canada now. Okay, so then it's pretty early for you. Cool. Yes. So I think we should do a little bit. Will we do a little bit of the conclude? Can we do that quickly? Can we do a what, so what, now what, Anna? Do you think in like 4 minutes? Probably not.
I think so.
we can give it a go.
We can give it a go.
We've got an extra team member now. Erica's brought an extra team member to She's gonna cheat by 2 heads are better than 1.
Yes.
Technically. Yeah. So
looks sleepy, but he's helping a lot.
Looks like a baby.
Looks like a baby.
Looks like a baby. That is very observant of you.
Looks like a baby and sounds like a baby. It must be a baby.
We just can't smell it. It probably smells like a baby too.
Yes.
How old?
2 months.
2 months. Oh my goodness me. Do you remember those days, Anna?
I was missing them, but I don't know why. I didn't like those those months, but I was kind of missing them. I don't
You
know.
have to forget everything, I think. I already forgot the first one.
Can we go to the what? So what now? What?
Yes, we can, Carla. Yes, we can. Good, good, Elmo. Thank you very much for that. So let me summon. I think I summoned everybody. Yes. So we've got there's three rounds here, and we're kind of going to do it just as a big group exercise. And I'd like you to think about in the first round. I'll put 3 minutes on the timer, or two minutes on the timer for the first round. And I want you to think about and add some post-its for what did you feel what happened during this workshop? What did you notice? What were things that you observed or stood out for you? So we'll just focus on round one, and I'll put 2 minutes on the timer for you to add some post-its. If you aren't able to double click and add post-its, you can right click and add a sticky note. That works as well. Hmm. And I love those two post-its right next to each other. Right next to the other one. Different people's interpretations of the same activities.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Yeah, that is something we did try and do. Focus on stories and how to use stuff rather than just the theory. So yeah, we didn't talk a lot about the Scrum Guide, but there was stuff in there. That is very good to admit, smiley face. Notice that I was wrong for some things. It's pretty valuable. So let's move on to the so what. I'm going to put 2 minutes again. We'll keep the pace clippy. What patterns or conclusions emerged? Why are the things we talked about important? And are there any hypotheses that you can make? Relating it back to maybe the stuff you do at work. Well, I like that. It's always good to hear other opinions. Totally. That's why these sessions are just open sessions, because then I get lots of different opinions. Although I recognize some folks from classes. In fact, both Anna's. Anna squared is always good. So let's look at it now. What can you do? What's something you learned during this experience? How could you apply it in future iterations? What do you need to do in order to improve things next time? What could you actually change in your organization? Maybe it's difficult. Maybe it's just something you could change in yourself, right? Because it's easy to change the things we do. It's difficult to change other people. Try and avoid, when you're not in a training situation, telling people, but the Scrum Guide says. Right? That's a good thing. So I would use it a lot in a training circumstance, but I wouldn't use it very much with a real team, right? Because they don't care. They're like, well, how does that help me do anything? Right? Just because the Scrum Guide says it.
Yeah, you know, Martin, that I do that. I avoid using even the name of the Scrum Guide, because then you sound like a Jehovah Witness, or someone holding the Bible. But these guys I'm working with, they rub it against me. The Scrum Guide says so and so, and then they take literally whatever they want to understand from there.
It's easy to misinterpret and to use. There's a lot of things. I think the thing one of the things I liked, and not just about the 2020, but the one version before that, is they brought the Scrum values front and center in the Scrum Guide. It's still not as strong as I would like, because it's almost the thing that you're building everything else on. But it is difficult to coach that into teams, and you're in a Nordic state, and that makes your life doubly difficult. I do a lot of work and training in Norway and Sweden, not so much in Denmark, although I've done some training in Denmark. Was it Denmark? It was Denmark, wasn't it? You were in, Carla?
No, Finland.
Finland. No, I haven't done anything in Finland, but it's
even weirder.
So something that my wife almost always comments on is that Northern Europeans don't show a lot of emotion. And she has this joke that this is the expression that somebody in Northern Europe who's excited has. This is the expression they have when they're unhappy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We have that meme. Yeah.
You can't see what people feel. I've done a lot of presentations at conferences in Norway, and it's super hard to get engagement with the audience. But something that I found interesting is doing workshops in this sort of way. I use a lot of liberating structures and those kind of constructs. And I've actually found when I teach a lot of I teach regular Scrum Master classes in Oslo. And we get a lot of really good engagement after the first few hours, because you got to get them warmed up, rub them together to get them warmed up. Once they get warmed up and they're doing lots of breakout rooms, when they do smaller breakout rooms, people start engaging, right? Introverts start engaging, and then when you bring them back to the main room, they're still in that engagement mode. Yeah. So that really works. So use lots of breakout rooms, lots of smaller breakout rooms in those groups.
Yeah.
The more stony-faced people are, the more breakout rooms you use.
Yeah, that or bring alcohol.
Hey, I live in Scotland. I'm not opposed to that. Not opposed to that. Well, this was awesome. Hopefully, you have some things that you can take back. What I would love to do, and I've lost my little grid lines, so I'll maybe put some on there. But if you could add a couple of post-its to our little board here for what worked well, what needs to change.
Which one?
Sorry, it's just below the one we were on. I didn't want to summon because people would. Yeah, it's just because people were still typing, so I didn't want to summon. Let me lock that. There we go. I'll add little boxes. Obviously, hopefully the mural things dropping behind problem will get fixed by mural pretty soon. But it's been there for a week, so you know maybe they're struggling. This session sometimes we have a few people like this. This is probably a mid-sized session. For the definition of done one last 2 weeks ago, we had about 24 people at one point. And I think for the Agile leadership, we had 34 people at one point for the Agile leadership one. They were all recorded. They're all available on YouTube. So you can go look back at the old exercises, but obviously it's not as fun watching it as it is being there. So that's why I see regular faces coming back time after time, because we have lots of fun and try and figure new stuff out. So if you do have new ideas and topics, particular topics you would like myself or Anna and I to create little workshops on, then we would happily do that, and it can be pretty much any topic you like. I'm not sure I can help you with that with your product backlog there. I've seen a lot of product backlogs that look like that. Fubard. So yeah. Nexus is an interesting one because yeah, I think there's the scaled professional Scrum class. I've taught it 3 times ever, and I've been able to teach it for nearly 10 years. And part of the reason for that is you cannot run it as a small class. You need a minimum of 8 to run the exercises because you need 2 teams. It's better with 4 teams, so it's better with 16. And not many people buy a scaling class. Most of the time when organizations contact me and they talk about scaling, I'm like, how often do your teams deliver working software at the end of the sprint? And they're like, oh, we can't do that yet. I'm like, so you don't want to talk about scaling yet. Let's talk about doing that first. Because if you try and scale before you can deliver stuff, well, that's going to suck even more. So, and that's actually the first exercise in the course is don't scale. Is the first exercise in the course. Yeah, that's how you solve your problem. Don't scale. It's not a good idea.
I learned first rule of agile. First rule of scaling agile.
Don't. Yeah, that is absolutely the first rule. So what Jeff Sutherland would talk about is if the difference between a mediocre team and a high performing amazing team is about 400%. Right? So he'd rather take one team and make them awesome than put 4 mediocre teams together, because you multiply mediocrity with the complexities of scaling and working together with that many people. So, yeah, but unfortunately, many big organizations just throw a big group of people at a problem and expect it to just work out. Right? And it just doesn't. So that's the way it is. Oh, valuable daily Scrum, because we did. Which one did we did? Sprint review. We did a sprint review setup, and we did a definition of done workshop. So daily Scrum. In fact, that was the one you said earlier, wasn't it, Anna? You said you wanted to do a daily Scrum one.
Yeah, and we're basically going through that in our organization, and we're changing a lot of things about dailies. And we're going to do a workshop with the whole organization, not only the Scrum team, about daily. So maybe I can
maybe we can, yeah, maybe we can backport that to
Yeah.
to run as a workshop. Then you'll be able to practice on your company and see what works. Yeah. Yes, Carla.
You mentioned the review on the definition of done, or
Yeah, so on
in the past?
this is the 7th free workshop that I've done. All of the previous ones are available on YouTube, on the Naked Agility YouTube channel. And yeah,
a couple of days ago, so
that is just fine. So at the moment, I'm actually running a little competition. I think I know Anna's already signed up for it, I think. But I'm running a little competition on my community site where you could win a ticket for either a PSM, a PSPO, a PSK, Professional Scrum with Kanban, or a Professional Agile Leadership with Evidence-Based Management class. Yes, it's a big mouthful. It's like the longest class ever, that class name. So let me get the link to put in the chat, but it's on my community portal, and now I can't find it. It's here somewhere. There it is. Let me get a link to that. There it is. Experiment Wednesday. I put it up yesterday. I'll pop it in the chat. And it's a little competition to win tickets. So there's 4 tickets to give away, 1 for each class is the idea. And
Experiment Wednesday.
Yeah, Experiment Wednesday. So you can sign up to that and hopefully get a ticket. Those classes are open and available anyway. They're just public classes. And depending on which region you are in the world, you get different discounts. So if you've taken a CSM, this is a good one. If you've taken a CSM and you want to do a PSM, I'll give you a 70% discount instead of you renewing your CSM membership. There you go. That could be good.
If you have the Scrum Alliance one and you do the Scrum org, then you get a 70%.
That's a Martin discount. So I'm that if you go to another trainer, they won't be doing that, right? But yes. So I do something I call it the Professional Scrum reruns, right? That if anybody's taken a class with me, they get a 70% discount if they want to take it again. Because sometimes people want to realign after a couple of years. They want to do it with a bigger class or a different group of people. It can be a lot of fun anyway, because it's basically 14 hours of this sort of workshops, right? Over 4 half days. So it's like a little event. So I give people who have taken a PSM with me that discount. I also extend it to anybody who has a CSM, SAFE, Scrum Master, or whatever else. If you can prove to me you've done a Scrum Master class, I'll happily give you a 70% discount for another one.
Listen, a very, very practical question. When you go to the experiment and then click the link and then it gives you what kind of ticket you get, is that random, or can I just refresh and try to get the one I want?
No, so it's okay. So I understand what you're saying. So it's a prize draw, and there are 4 prizes. So you're just entering into the draw, and if 2 people won and 2 people desperately wanted to do a PSM, then I would probably swap out the ticket they did win for a PSM. That's okay, right? I'm not going to be an ass about it. I'm going to be reasonable. So if you want a PSK and you don't want to do a PSK, then I would probably happily do you a different one. Okay. So I just put 4. There's 4 tickets up for grabs.
Okay.
There's 4 tickets up for grabs. I don't mind which class you come into.
Yeah, and actually it gives you also what ticket do you prefer after your...
Yes, I did ask that as well, just in case, and I've been looking at the stats for that as well.
I see.
Yeah.
Super.
Cool.
All right.
So thank you very much, everybody, for your time. Thank you, Anna, for helping build and run the workshop. That's the second one we've done together. I think it's adding value, because she's keeping me on time.
We're going step by step.
Step by step. So I hope to see you at the next one, which will be in 2 weeks, which we have not yet really decided what we're going to do, but it sounds like the Daily Scrum is an interesting one for folks.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a few people nodding, so that might be the one we pick. But
Whatever I pick is correct, so it doesn't matter. It's good.
Yeah, if there's any topics you do want, just let me know. You can ping me on the community site. You can ping me on.
I wrote with another guy like how to write a user story. It's a very nice topic.
How to write a user story. Did I do that one?
No,
No, I didn't. But I did a private workshop the other day on user stories. So I'm happy to repurpose that. So we'll put user stories on the list as well. I don't know if it's an awesome one, but it is one. Does that make sense? Like sometimes we have to iterate on the value and that you actually get out of it. But I can certainly run one. That might be more popular than the Daily Scrum one. His user stories. So if anybody has any questions, you're happy to hang out, but I'm going to wrap it up. And yeah, it was awesome to have everybody here, and thank you very much.